Hello. Jen said, oh dear, at the start. Does that mean...
It's on the wrong side.
What's on screen?
It's fine now.
Is it me? Yeah, you said me first. Hello. We're outside again. Press the play button.
It's yes, what's on screen.
Huh.
I like things like that before.
Dear me. Teaching Jen a lesson.
I think so.
Who have we got? Oh, don't... Oh, wait. There we go. Say hello, folks. Talk to us. Are you guys outside as well, George? That's good to hear. I'm going to spend my entire time being blinded here, aren't I? But that's the point. Hi, Emma. So, George, have I got both you and Sally on the same chat today? What? What do you want? Ralph's trying to get your attention. Okay, you coming up? Nope, just leaving us. Bye. I think we've got quite a long delay today. I'm not sure why. Pop them up here if you want. So what's everyone been up to? It's a busy week? Come on. Coming up? Say hello then, Ralph. Okay, that's a bit intense. Bit close. What's this? What's this just here? You like being a centre of attention, don't you? Yeah, I think we're on a good 20-second delay today. I'm not sure why. You smelling the world, Ralph?
Ralph, what's this?
Talk to me, guys. What have you all been up to? Been a busy week? You all been enjoying the sun? Not enjoying the wind right now. Right. It's not supposed to be all about you, Ralph. Can it be a little bit about me? No. It's going to be about you because I am wearing a white t-shirt that's now covered in your hair. Everyone's saying hello to you. So, is everyone in the house, outside? How are we today? Do you want to go back in your bed? Go on, you go. Yep, covered. Yeah, it does help sitting outside to do this, or if not outside, somewhere close to a window or having a light on over your head. Just something to show, just to kind of simulate everything a little bit. But if you can sit outside, brilliant, do it. And obviously, as we said last week, sitting opposite someone definitely helps. I think someone suggested sitting opposite a mirror, that can work too. It's just so you can see the effects of what we're trying as we try it. And so you can look at yourself in that sense, case, or someone pretty opposite you. I'm just going to sit here and get a tan for a bit. Oh, hi Pepper. Don't worry, if you need the mirror and you need to be inside for it, if you're near a window, that should help anyway.
Mum's not doing it with Dom. Where's Dom?
Dom not sat opposite you then, Lisa. Jesus. That wind can stop for a minute. I mean, I'll be boiling, but it can stop. Ralph, what are you doing? He's weirdly just sat, or not even sat, he's just under the chair there. I mean, I wouldn't trust this bench, Ralph. So what about everyone else? Has everyone else got someone sat opposite them? Ralph hair's all over my screen. And the other question is, has everyone bought everything with them? Has anyone had to substitute any of the items? I'll show you what I've got. I have a piece of white card. Let me see that, I don't even know. I've dropped it. I've got some white paper as well. I thought the paper might blow away. Foil, black blanket. Of course you're late, Zoe. We expect you to be late. Why do you think we wait for 6 minutes? I think we've probably just about got everyone for now. I don't know whether we've got Jane and the kids. I think they're missing. Although, speak up, Jane, if you're there. Yeah, don't worry, Lisa. Any of the above can work. We're not picky. I must admit, I've got big pieces of black card at the studio that would have done the job really well, but they're at the studio, so it's all very well. Not on purpose. It's not a screen at the moment, is it?
No, but what do you want?
Okay.
Do you want that?
There you go.
Shall I do it? Half and half.
Yeah, go for it.
What's wrong?
It's just here, barking.
Right.
Right, let's move along then. So, welcome to the final episode of the Photography Club. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining in and coming back. for one very last time. Obviously, last quick introduction. You all know who I am. I'm Gavin. Jenny's over there this time, and Ralph is everywhere. Right now, he is under the table, staring at, I'm guessing, where my watch just reflected. But I'm sure he'll go to sleep in his bed over there at some point, if we're lucky, so we can watch you. So yeah, very, very last episode. So going through the most interactive possible really today, because I wanted something that didn't need homework, because obviously we're not coming back and reviewing it like normal, and it's just a case of going through something and working through it together. Hopefully something really, really useful that you can take into your photography and using always. Yes, George, I'm afraid, final episode. So has everybody got their items I asked you to bring along then with them? Ah, Jane, there you go. Thought we'd have you at some point. So yeah, has everybody got everything with them? So we should have white paper or card, black paper or card, and some tin foil or similar. What, has everybody got those things, or has anyone supplemented?
Not much of a delay.
No, I think it's caught up a little bit. So the other thing you actually need is your thinking heads and your enthusiasm. I'm sure you've got those. But we've got to use every extra bit of enthusiasm you've got as it's the last one. Everyone's got everything. Wonderful. That's good to hear. So, the other thing obviously we're going to be looking at later is who is the champion. I like just the champion, just abbreviates nicely. So we will talk about, we're going to save that to the end because that feels like a nice bit of a cliffhanger for you. But we're going to do the lesson first this week. Today we're talking about controlling light. Now one of the things we've always said with Photography Club is we don't want it to be about equipment. We don't want it to be about what you've got. It's more about... Sorry, Jen's pulling faces at Ralph over there. We want it to be more about making the most of what you've got, not having to buy things or spend lots of money to create good photographs, keeping with the David Bailey ethos of the best camera is the one you have on you. So same thing with lighting as well. I didn't want people to have specific lights and things like that. You know, there's no reason you can't take amazing photos with just what you've got. Of course, what we have today is beautiful bright sunlight that's right over the top of my head. So hopefully everyone's sat opposite someone and has, as we said, foil, white paper, black paper. If you're inside, having a bright light pointed at you, something like that might make it a little bit easier. You're still going to have talking about, but that just might make it a little bit easier to see the effect anyway. So,
You got the comments.
no, I haven't got the comments. I have to hide them when I'm reading my stuff. Should we hit pause for a minute and move backwards towards the Wi-Fi?
Yeah.
Does everyone mind holding for just a moment? That's just because I'll have to take my microphone off and move this bench. If Jen just puts us on full keynote for a minute. Okay, bear with us just a second. It probably is us dropping out. Maybe it did. Ready? He's lift quite high. 3, 2, 1.
Yeah.
I should do it, shouldn't it? And then they move the router closer to how compared to this as well. Just, I don't know. Sorry, folks. Was I on screen there? Oh.
You are now.
Oh dear. I just fell backwards off the bench. Oh, my lord. You're laughing at me, Ralph. Right, how is that, everybody? How are we doing? Are we a little bit more connected? Anyone? I don't know how much difference moving 4 feet can do.
We were about here last time.
Yeah. Talk to us, guys. Tell us how we're doing. Is that better? Or am I like... That was a dance, apparently. Okay. Amazing the difference that can make. Wonderful. Right, let's go back. Let's keep going. I'm hiding the comments on screen, so Jen will have to keep me in touch there. Right. So hopefully everyone's got some light on them. We can make a bit of a start. Jen, if you wouldn't mind going full screen on me, that'd be amazing. There we go. Wonderful. So most of the light we kind of have to deal with in everyday situations. So taking out, creating artificial light is quite unflattering to photograph people in. So first of all, for everyone, what direction does the light usually come from? That's probably a good question to start with. Now, what direction do we normally get light coming from? As I said, it's going to be very interactive. Need you all talking to me, answering every question. Above. Give everyone else a chance to answer there as well. See if we have any advances on that. Isn't it? It's hot out here. Move it that way a bit. I just mean it's in the shade. Anyone else? What direction is most of our light sources coming from? What direction do we normally expect light to be coming from? Does it depend where you are? No. I'm gonna stick with what George said there because he's absolutely right. Most of the time, our light is coming from up there. So particularly on a sunny day, our light is just there right now, so it's nearly overhead because we're 11:15. If you're in the house, your lights are on the ceiling, they're coming straight down. Most of the time, in most situations, you have light coming from above you. It's very rare. I mean, obviously, even a wall light is going to be above you, so it's higher up. So what would be the problem with that? So looking at me right now is probably a really good way of looking at it. If you're taking a photo of me, what would be the problem with having that light right overhead, particularly on a sunny day? But also having a spotlight in a ceiling or something will give a similar effect to the bright sun anyway. Yeah, absolutely so. If you've got, particularly with a very harsh light such as the sun or a spotlight or something like that, you're going to get very strong shadows. And obviously that's not a very nice thing to photograph, particularly overhead or behind me. You're going to get a lot of shadows on someone's face, which makes it not very easy to photograph, and you're not going to see someone very well. It's not really how we want to do it. So what we're going to do is begin by trying to fix that. That is something we can easily fix without spending any money, without adding extra lights or anything like that. So we're going to look we're not going to look too much at the science behind these things. This is going to be more about the practicality and how we can fix it and how we can do it. So before we start, 3 things I asked you to bring. What does everyone think those 3 things are for? Can anyone imagine what each of those things are meant to do? So if we start with, the first one I asked you to bring was tin foil. What does everyone think the tin foil was for? And yes, Jane, you're completely right. Shadows block the detail of your face. Yeah, I mean, you know, you can use that creatively. It can look kind of cool at sometimes, but at the end of the day, when we just want to take photos every day, whether that's holiday photos, whether that's photos of the kids in the garden, whether that's just something creative, you don't particularly want that. So we're trying to create something a little bit softer and a little bit easier. So yes, George, light reflection. So to start with, that tin foil, what effect does everyone think that tin foil is going to have? Absolutely, Lisa. Across those 3, reflecting and absorbing light is exactly the right answer. That is perfect. So yeah, tin foil is going to reflect light. And what about the white paper? What's that going to do? Just eating grass, Ralph?
Yeah, he is.
Weirdo.
Oh, putting your food into the grass.
So explain your answer there for me. Just so I know we're all talking about the same thing, because sometimes you're a bit behind. George, I'll come to that in a moment. Yeah, so that's the difference between tin foil is going to be a little bit harsher, white's going to be a little bit softer. So let's have a look at these. I'm just going to hide my chat off screen for a moment. Okay. So yeah, tin foil is going to give us a more exaggerated and unnatural look. So let's start with that. If everyone's got their tin foil to hand, I'm going to have to wedge mine on some card, otherwise I am going to lose it. So let's fold that round. That's going to be easier, isn't it? Excuse the chocolate left on the tin foil. So, what effect is this having on me? Sometimes the easiest way to see something like this and see the effects of it is to take it away and put it back. So it's sometimes easier as well. Obviously we wouldn't do this in photos, is to get it right in there and have a look at what that's doing. I'm going to pop it down on the table in front of me, just to have a look for a second. So is everybody trying that and looking at the person opposite them to see it? Yeah, absolutely. Now, while we're not ever going to get rid of the shadows I've got really strongly today here, which is not horribly unflattering as well and doesn't look very nice in the photo, we're never going to quite get rid of them, because at the end of the day, that is brighter than, can everyone see my hands? That up there is brighter than that. So this is, while it's reflecting most of the light, it's never going to be as bright as that. So we're never going to get even, and it'd probably look pretty weird if we did anyway. So that's reflecting probably half the light again, and just getting that in under there. So something really good to look at here as well. Excuse me, I've just lost my notes. Look into the person's eyes opposite Hold that tin foil there if you want to hold it between you so you can both see. Look romantically, I mean, look into each other's eyes and have a look what you can see. And then take it away and see the difference. Or as I wrote in my notes, look into the person opposite you's eyes. Great English that, isn't it? Really great English. My mum would be proud. I didn't say it, it's just how I wrote it. So it might help, I mean, if I do this. The real creepy eyes. That is tanning me. Wow, that's hot. What effect is that having, everyone? What can you see in each other's eyes? You're hiding behind me there, Ralph. What can everyone see in each other's eyes? Oh, looking closely. I'm going to lose my tin foil. Not live, let's have a look.
Yeah, we're good. There we go. We're back.
Am I back? Can everyone hear me again? Sorry, problem with doing it outside. Although, yeah, last time we were fine. I don't think we had a single issue, did we?
Yeah, we're good. That's strange.
Right, perfect. I will continue. Although it says I've only got one person watching. You are back. Oh, well, okay. One person watching sounds like more like 10, but whatever. Okay, we'll ignore your YouTube for that. So yeah, as we were saying, so that light in your eyes is something that you get used to seeing in people and it looks very natural as soon as you take that away. So it's worth trying it without it and looking in each other's eyes and then put it back in. Just having that little light in your eyes kind of sounds really cheesy, but tends to put a little bit of life into you. It tends to look a little bit more real when you look at someone. So when you're taking someone's photo, you want to have that light in their eyes. Now normally you'd have that at 10 or 2 o'clock to there or there. But obviously as soon as you put a reflector in, it's going to be lower down. But there's nothing wrong with that. You've still got it there, which just tends to look a little bit better. Right, so we're going to do the same thing as we were just doing. We're going to take the foil away. So put it out of sight. I'd hide it underneath the black thing if you can. But let's do the same thing with white. And let's have a look. And obviously all of you said that it was a little bit more natural. So let's have a look at the difference. Again, doing it like this. So we're doing this high up just to really show the difference and just to be able to see it. Obviously, if you're taking a photo, you don't want this horrible white piece of card in a shot. You want to hide it. So if you're photographing someone at a table, really great way of doing it, it's just popping it on the table. So we can't see it, but it's still filling in those shadows a little bit. So again, try the before and after, have a look at the difference. Daylight today is perfect for this. I'm looking at my reflection, my picture, and just seeing the difference is amazing. Jan, I've got a spinning wheel here. We're still alright?
It's just started spinning on mine.
No, again.
Sorry, it's a bit buffery. I don't know. It's weird how it was okay for a few minutes, like a while, and then it started buffering again.
Has everyone got that?
Spinning on my phone. I got it on my phone to check.
Sorry about this, guys. Technical issues.
It carries on doing this. You have to. Move this way a little bit more quickly.
You could just move that way. It's you that needs to be there, not me.
Where am I going to go?
Yeah, holding it that close, George, is going to feel very, very strange. What?
Right.
Oh, this is driving me mad.
Right, just have to pause for a moment. I'm just going to go on the keynote. 1 second, guys. Okay, we're back.
We're back, guys. Hello, hello, hello. Sorry about that. That is really annoying. Right, but this is really useful, so it is worth carrying on with. I do apologise. Right then, so has everybody seen the difference that we make between using the foil and the white? Obviously the foil is way more extreme, so it's going to bounce a lot more light, but in the process it's going to look a lot more unnatural. So if anything, on people, not great. On other things, probably can work quite well. I'm sure everyone's seen on in the 70s when a tan, they'd do this, wouldn't they, to make a tan. But if you look at the difference of that and how much light that's going to bounce underneath my jaw and into my eyes, it's quite amazing. Now I suppose if you're putting that on the table in front, I've got a spinning wheel. Jen. No, people are saying it's still doing it.
Should we go inside?
Can't. Right, I'm going to keep talking to a minute just to see whether we're improving at all here, guys. I don't really understand what's happening. Obviously, I sat down the bottom of the garden with the iPad yesterday and had absolutely no issues. So it's a little bit weird. We have our guest back. We have a sparrow that sits on the corner of the house up there talking to us half the day. It's lovely. Right, talk to me if this is a little bit better, guys. Tell me if anything's improving or not improving. Right, if everybody clicks back to live or just goes off it and comes back in, that might help. Because as you say, every time it buffers, it kind of tries to catch up, so people end up being really far behind. I think I'm off as well. Yeah, I am. Right, let's have a look. Hopefully that should be fixed now. Let's have a look. Hopefully. There we go. So that sounds about right now. Ah, so it's blown shut. Ah, that might not have helped. It was open.
I think it's sorted.
Okay. Yeah, so one of the main differences, I suppose, with having... Oh, God, I've just knocked my camera. It's all going wrong, guys. I'm sorry about this. There we go. Yeah, one of the main differences, I suppose, with having the foil underneath is because we're putting in a lot more light. The white is only bouncing probably about half, quarter of the light, whereas the foil is bouncing a lot more of it. It gives us a very kind of underlit look. Now, obviously, we're very used to seeing people lit from above, as we said at the start. So being lit from underneath is an unnatural look. It's something our eyes aren't used to, our brains aren't used to seeing. So we kind of find it very strange and unnatural. And it's obviously one of the main reasons when people are doing ghost stories, they shine a light from underneath. It gives you kind of an unnatural look to it. Right, let's have a go now. I'm going to swap it over and see what the black does. So I'll put my foil over there. Bring that black card, paper, blanket, whatever underneath. And again, like we were doing before, bring it underneath. Oh, that's going to muffle my voice. And have a look and tell me what that difference, the difference that's making to your face or the person opposite you's face. Oh, hello, Ralph. Definitely. So even if we do before and after, in fact, I'm going to do it with the foil. So if we do the difference to get the real big difference between the foil to the black, apart from my voice. Foil and black. So what is the black doing that's different? So what is darker about it? More shadows. That's yeah, kind of what I'm looking for. What it's going to do is it's going to darken and make those shadows heavier. It's also going to mean they stop more suddenly, so you're going to get everything going to black quicker. So obviously that can be quite an unnatural thing. You might not want it in your eyes, but it can also be a very creative thing. One of the main reasons I'd use that in the studio is for kind of beautifying and beauty photography, especially if you've already got light in someone's eyes. Light can actually widen someone's face because you're making their face into a big white reflector, effectively. So you're making things look broader. Actually, I'm spinning there. It's absorbing light. It's exactly what it's doing. So what this can actually do on a person is draw in shadows around here. So it can actually be very flattering in that sense. So if I'm up like this and I've got light in my eyes, we actually don't mind drawing in some more shadow around here, especially in here. You know, people like to see a jawline, and what it'll do is actually thin your face out a little bit. I mean, that's kind of more particularly in the studio, but it's certainly a creative thing you can do. So obviously, now we understand kind of the theory behind those three things. We're trying it with paper and card and blankets and things like that. How could we use this in everyday situations? You know, I'm not saying you're definitely going to be carrying around a piece of paper all the time that can just be used as soon as you want to take a picture of someone. That's not an easy thing to do. So how could we use this theory? What could we replace the paper or the foil or the card with to use this in an everyday situation? Excellent. Should have expected my mother to get that one. I have a book here to show it. Now books are often kind of brown pages. That can still work. There's nothing to stop you folding up your piece of foil. I'd written this one down, so I'm going to carry on with this one for a moment. Folding up your piece of foil into a book. You can hide it, or it's just a nice photo anyway of someone reading a book. But what you're doing is bouncing that light. There is it. So if I do it that way, I know the sun's to my right, we're going to bounce that in there. And obviously it's quite an easy thing to direct someone in that they'll be able to see whether that light's reaching them. So if they turn it until they can see it, till it's blinding them, it's probably doing a good job. But simple things like that can definitely do it. Zoe's then written piece of clothing. So you've spotted why I'm wearing white. It's an excellent point. So if I show you the difference on me, my white t-shirt is already doing the job of the paper. If I pop on something black, oh, it's done up. I do that, just show you the difference, and flash at you a few times. So just that to that is going to make quite a big difference. So we're just bouncing extra light just with the top. Right, it's warm. What about everyone else? What other things could we do to have the same effect? Now this might not be a case of something you have with you or something you change. This might be something where you are, that you just make a decision about where you take the photo. What around you could be used to do that. Come on, Ralph, what are you doing? Excellent answer. Yeah, water is going to do very much like the foil is, particularly some clean water. Let's not particularly rivers, but some nice clear water is going to bounce the light and give you some very, very strange effects, especially if you've got moving seawater or something like that. You're going to get those ripples and sparkles, which is very creative, but just by having someone stood in front of the water, you're going to bounce that light into them, as opposed to some tarmac, which is obviously a lot darker and isn't going to do the same thing. So Lisa, where would you move someone to? So yeah, a white coffee cup underneath is going to do it a little bit. I generally advise, without getting into this too much, the larger the surface, the more natural it's going to look. So if I'm holding my foil out like this, it's quite a big light source. Now a big light source is a softer light source. It's going to be more flattering. The smaller I make that, the more direct it's going to be. So it's going to be a bit more unnatural, especially as this is going to turn into a little square on my face after a little bit. Sand is a great example, George. It's one I had on my list. Sand reflects. Sand reflects really nicely quite a lot of the time. It's quite a nice surface to use. Absolutely, Pippa as well, a glass tabletop. Now the one thing I'd say about a glass tabletop or a mirror is it's going to be worse than the foil probably. It's going to be very strange because it's very flat and harsh. So it can work, but also at the same time that might not work, and you might actually be better having a piece of paper on top of that. Snow is one of the harshest actually, because actually you get lots of little specular highlights in there as well. Turn them around, sit them down and look up to the camera. Yeah, actually, if that works for your photo, having someone lying down can work because you're getting the full face coverage, but we might have the same issue that we talked about, that you're going to widen the look of their face. So as soon as someone's flat up like that, you're making their face look a little bit broader.
Yeah, I think like if you're going to just turn them around and not use anything extra, relying on you turn them to face the direct sun. So again, it can be,
yeah,
this is a way of sort of filling in, giving a bit of light, but without someone squinting directly into the sun, isn't it? Using a softer reflector to get the light.
Yes.
Without having them turn and face the direct sunlight to get the light.
Yeah. Which, to be honest, if you're photographing someone, I mean, today you can probably see I'm doing this most of the time, so that's not a nice thing to do. Yeah, absolutely, George. That's the amount that sun is going to reflect. You're actually doubling the light, which is why you have to wear sun cream when it's snow and you get sunburnt from that. So there's something quite a lot of people have in their homes that can do this really, really well and really simply, that you kind of don't think of, but actually ties into what we're doing today perfectly, and can just act as a really natural reflector. So I don't know if anyone can think of what that might be. I think Jen's just had a delivery. I'm guessing that's part of her birthday present from Lisa and Dom. I apologise, guys. I think Jen just got in the way of the reflector. Wi-Fi, that's the one. There we go, Lisa. Nailed it. White walls, whether outside or inside, absolutely amazing. So one of the things you could do is stand someone facing a white wall. So what you're going to get if the photographer's got their back to the white wall and someone's facing it, you're just going to bounce light really naturally. Or if you stand them within next to it, like on white paper, just next to it, I've got sun kind of up to my right hand side a little bit. Just having that next to them is going to soften everything a little bit. It's just going to be very natural. Yeah, a white wall is absolutely amazing for that. This is often, especially if you're on holiday doing photos, you know, if you've got natural whitewashed walls and things like that, taking photos anywhere near them are going to give you a really, really nice source of light. But yeah, so as I said, anything white, stand someone near that, you're going to get a nicer source. If that's something that can be underneath them for taking photos, if you're taking photos of the kids, if you can bounce that up at them, you know, if you're taking photos in the garden, rather than using a dark picnic blanket, if you've got a lighter picnic blanket you can put underneath them, great. As I say, sitting near a white wall or something like that can make a big difference as well. What else have I written? Yeah, white floors, you know, even if it's paving slabs or something like that, they're going to do it. Another bit of a tip actually as well is while we said about like a white t-shirt, it's going to do a really nice job of reflecting some light. At the same time, coloured t-shirts will do the same thing, but in a bad way. So it might be that if someone's wearing a red t-shirt, I particularly find this in the studio, someone wearing red, when it's bounced with a harsh light, is actually going to reflect red up onto your face, which isn't a very nice colour for your face to look. So obviously thinking about things like that. So I think what we're saying is it's a decision making. Again, like we said, it's making that conscious decision about what you want in your photo and what difference you think you can make. So making the decision about what you're going to change, what's wrong, and then changing it rather than just plonking someone somewhere and taking a picture. I suppose the other thing is considering, just thinking about where that light's coming from before you take a picture. So it's not just again, just plonking someone there and taking the picture, it's thinking about it. So naturally, if you've got light behind someone's head, if I can't move the camera to do that. If you've got like someone from behind someone, their face is going to be naturally too dark. Even if you set your exposure right, your face is going to look strange. So what you want to do is then just think about turning that person just to make sure that the light's coming from the right direction rather than the wrong direction. So it's that conscious decision. If you then can't change that, then bringing in something like a piece of paper or whatever. You know, in the studio we have big reflectors. We even have big polystyrene boards to put next to people to do that exact job. But this is a great way, of kind of DIY way of having things that you can just pick up. You know, even if it's just a case of there's a newspaper, it's not perfect, but it's going to do it a bit. Line out on the table, getting that light bouncing a little bit, just making that decision to make it a little bit better. Right, before we move on then, has anyone got any questions? Coloured walls could do it, but also could have that negative effect that the clothes would do. So if you've got a red brick wall and you're standing someone next to it, it's going to be really unflattering because you're going to reflect some of that red light onto them. Could you counter that if someone's wearing a colour that won't work? Not easily. You know, if someone's wearing a bright red t-shirt, it always used to be bane in my life, particularly when I worked in Stockport, people wearing United shirts. I'm sorry if there's any Man United fans, but they're horrible. They really do not photograph well. At least with City, I had slightly more flattering colour underneath people. But reds, orange, pinks, purples, they tend to reflect onto people's skin and bring out imperfections, so there's not a nice thing to have. Assuming they can't change though, yeah, probably standing near that white wall is probably going to make the best difference to that, really. Otherwise, you're still going to get it. You're probably going to find here being the worst bit. You're going to get those little bits of red catching. But if you've got some white reflecting the light, it's probably going to... You want something that's more reflective than the shirt to do it, hence why a football shirt isn't great, because they're always shiny, reflective and horrible. So yeah, it's a difficult one, because at the end of the day, you know, if someone turns up, for me, in something that is unflattering, it's a very hard thing to counter. If you can soften the light that's hitting it, it will reflect less. So like we said, I mean, a cloudy day is going to be a much easier source for that because you're going to soften those colours a little bit. You're going to get a less harsh look, you're going to get less reflection off the shirt, and you're going to get less shadows. So obviously, yeah, if you can soften that, get a bigger light source to flatten those colours out a little bit, then yeah, it's going to work better. Wonderful. All right, I think, hopefully, again, we've rushed through that, but we've covered kind of a small amount there, but it's quite an important thing. It's something I use every day in the studio. It's just being conscious of where that light source is, what it's doing to someone, and how I can counter anything to do with it. So hopefully that's helped, and it can help people every day, whether it's holiday, whether it's sat in the garden, whether it's out and about, just kind of take slightly better photos of people, because to me that's one of the biggest things in photographing people and making people look good. You know, everyone thinks they can do certain things, like we talked about on-camera flash is doing that same thing. It's a very tiny little light source that's just going to bring things out. So hopefully that's helped. Does anyone have any questions before we move on to the big important thing? You couldn't use a contrasting colour reflector to change the colour. The problem is to reflect against something like magenta or red, you're looking at using something green. Yeah, it's a minefield, if I'm completely honest, and I just go with white. White's about as good as you're going to get without... You're just introducing too many colours and it's not going to do very much. In theory, yes, don't bother. That's my answer, basically. In summary. Oh, Pooch. Look at you. Right, before we move on, guys, talk to me. How are we getting on? Has everybody understood that? And has everyone been able to try that opposite each other? Has it made sense? Have you tried moving that white piece of paper around each other just to see that different effect it's having? So obviously we're not coming back to this, we're not re-looking over the pictures or anything like that, but what I would absolutely love people to do is share some pictures that show us the difference. So especially if you can do a before and after with one of them, or with and without one of them, I should say, it'd be really amazing to keep that going on the group and just see the effects that it's having. Because yeah, as I said, it's a very core thing to do when you're photographing people, and it's amazing the difference you can make by doing it. Wonderful. Right, I think we're about time to move on to the, I'm not going to say the most important, because I think that was the most important, but the most important for you guys is, if we can get the keynote up please, Jen. Yeah, so this is the moment last 10 weeks I've been building towards. I love that we've had around 10 weeks, it's amazing. Who will be the champion? So what we're going to do first is we're going to watch a video from the past 10 weeks, looking at all the amazing pictures you've all produced. I can't stress enough how amazing every single person has done. Just because we're having a champion doesn't diminish all the work every other person's done. This was just a bit of motivation in my opinion. The improvement we've seen every single week on week, pictures have got better and better. Each person, I can see the difference from week 1 to week 9, I should say. We haven't seen this week's. That's absolutely amazing, and for us, it just feels great. You know, at the end of the day, that's what we've been here for, and hopefully we've kept you all occupied a little bit through lockdown, but the improvement's amazing.
One last question
We have one last question, sorry, I can't see that. Would contrasting idea work with edits? Just go into a little bit more detail about what you mean on that for me, Jane. Just so I can understand the question a little bit better. Lucky I didn't put any answers on there.
Sorry, I've gone back to full screen just for
Should have just had my notes separately, shouldn't I? Just explain yourself a little bit more for me, Jane. Oh, hot doggy. Oh God, he's warm. I'm warm, for that matter. I'm not muted, am I?
No.
That's right. I think I know what you mean, Jane. I think what you're saying is if we're adding contrast with the black blanket, so we're darkening the shadows, and then we edit it and add even more contrast, yes, you're right. This is almost in place of editing. So, for example, if you use this underneath someone, oh, Jen's pointing.
No,
so if someone was quite pink.
Colours like Zoe was saying.
Don't be daft. I want questions, Jane. So if someone was quite pink, would the green soften? Yes, you could soften by messing with colours like we did in Lightroom. One of the things I think when I was training photographers that is the best habit to be in is get it right in camera. Use the edit as a creative thing. Use it as something to improve on what you've got. Don't rely on fixing something. This is where, so yeah, if I get someone turn up in a Man United shirt in the studio, I will photograph them with the biggest, softest light I can possibly do. So a bit more like a cloudy day, because I know what it's going to do. Particularly if someone needs flattering a little bit more. I don't mean that in a negative way. I just mean some people want or need to be flattered more than others, and there's nothing wrong with that.
And some people have red faces.
And yeah, some people have a redder face, and so
In general.
the worst thing I want is someone who's come in who's already slightly redder in the face, especially, I mean, it could just be a day like today and someone walks into the studio, they're going to look redder. And what I don't want to do is rely on fixing that in my edit. I want to get it as right as possible in the first place. So I understand why Zoe was asking about reflecting in something like a green to reflect to counter the magenta. No, what I would do is make sure I've got a soft, so I've got big kind of, what are they, 8-foot white boards that I would bring in closer to someone and bring in a big light source, which we've got a, was it 6-foot octabox, which is an octagonal shaped box, bring that as close to them as possible because it's going to spread light, it's going to avoid reflecting as much. As soon as I use a small direct light source, I'm going to bounce that more, so I just try and soften things a little bit more. Yes, in theory you can fix it in the edit, but I will always stand by get it right first time, basically. So apologies, right. Yes, we'll move on to, we're going to watch a video of all your very, 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 very best images across the last 10 weeks. And then at the end, it's going to show who our photography club champion is. So if everybody is ready, then we shall begin. Wow. Well done, Pippa. Congratulations. You are our champion. Jen's doing a mime clap that you can't see, so that was... Oh, right, is it? Right, I see. Congratulations. That was, yeah, it was very, very tough to pick anyone because, as I said, you've all done absolutely amazing. The actual end decision was so close as well. but yeah, nothing to take away from that. The images you produced them are absolutely amazing, Pippa, so well deserved. As it was so close and we struggled so much, we have decided to have a runner-up. That wasn't the original plan, but we'd be really happy to announce that George will be our runner-up. I think the amount of work you've put in and the improvement has been absolutely amazing. We really appreciate your enthusiasm as well. So we've got a little prize for George. George, we'd like to invite you into the studio. We're going to do a really cool picture for your wall and get it printed. It's going to be of you holding a camera, looking all cool, and I'll talk you through the lighting and stuff as we do it, so you'll get a little lesson involved with that as well. But yeah, both of you, absolutely amazing. It was just, yeah, the quality of work through and throughout has been absolutely amazing, so thank you. And yeah, congratulations to Pippa and congratulations to George as our very close runner-up, so thank you very much. No, absolutely, Pippa, I completely agree. I think one of the things we took into account when deciding was answering the brief and always kind of exactly getting the brief perfectly. So it's not just about the best pictures, it's about listening and understanding as well. So thank you. So yeah, George, as soon as we're allowed, we'll get you to come in and we'll take a really cool picture of you. Got a really good idea. Get you something to show off your new skills. And I'll talk you through what we're doing as we do it as well. And Pippa, obviously you've got a set of vouchers to use. We might have to come and join you on one of them, as it involves gin, so we might have to come and meet you for that one. Yes, you might need a haircut, Sally, don't worry, there's no rush, but we'll make sure it's the right timing on that one. Yeah, congratulations, and obviously thank you. Obviously this is the end, so little tear. So until we get you all into the studio, and we will do special episode 11 in the studio, the real final one, but until then this is goodbye, because obviously that's going to be a while, because that's going to be quite a few of us in one place. I think we're going to have to be past guidelines to be able to do that. That's social distancing will be hard, so I think we're probably looking end of August, September before we do that. Pippa wins. She's got, I can't remember actual quantities, so I apologise. There is a voucher to spend at G&T next door to us. There is a gel nail voucher for Love Laura's Beauty, and I believe it's £25 to spend with Beautiful Dinosaur online. I have put links to all three of those places in the description of this video, assuming it stuck with it. So obviously, as I said last week, please go over and support them. That's 3 small businesses that have supported us in doing this. So all we can do is, if we get all of you on there, liking their page, maybe spending some money with them. You don't have to, but obviously that's nice. Great places to go and have a look at. I know we will give you the voucher for Beautiful Dinosaur quite quickly, because I know they've got quite a long waiting time because everything's handmade and they've got no staff at the moment. It's just 2 of them running it, so I'll probably get that over quite quickly once they've sent it to me. But the other 2, obviously, you're going to have to wait till they're open because they're both quite close, so yeah, we'll sort something. Anyway, but yeah, most important thing is thank you. We've loved every minute of this, and it wouldn't have been possible without all of you guys turning up every week or twice a week and joining in, doing everything we ask of you. It's quite amazing for people to do what I ask them, doing the homework and actually listening to what I said. I think the only people that have ever listened to me in the past were paid to do it, so this is pretty amazing for me, and it's a big compliment. But it's been clear, I've been able to see what I've said go in, change in your pictures and come back to us in the form of homework, so that's been incredibly rewarding for us, and great fun as well. Obviously we're very sad to be the end of it, but it is the right time. Obviously we've now got to reopen the business and move house, so starting after lunch today we're putting into effect our plans to reopen, which is going to be around 3 weeks time. Obviously look out for announcement of that, and obviously share it if you can, that's great for us. I'm going to try and do a few more videos on YouTube once we're reopened and once we've moved. and try and keep it up. So obviously if you subscribe to that, you'll see them. Love to see Photography Club people joining in on those and sending in pictures, and we'll keep up with the group. We'll keep posting some ideas and things. We'll share the YouTube videos on there, and if ever you've got any photography related questions or advice or anything, keep in touch, and we'll try our best to answer and help you. We always will, whether that's via email or social media or whatever as well. But yeah, as I said, thank you everyone. Really enjoyed it. I'm sure Jen will agree with me.
Yes.
It's been wonderful to have something to get up for twice a week. As I said last week, I don't think we'd have known what day it was otherwise.
No.
So that's been pretty amazing. But keep in touch.
Keep our brains working.
Yeah, you definitely kept our brains working because, you know, it's very easy just to sit there and stew a little bit in lockdown. So thank you. Done as much for us as I'm hoping we've done for you. I hope everyone's enjoyed it. Sorry, I've just had a load of comments come through, so before I say goodbye, I'm going to read through that. Yes, Pippa, beautiful dinosaur will be perfect for Will, for Seb as well, so that'll be lovely. We'll have to see those pictures of them, so I assume you'll be using your skills to photograph them both in those outfits and show us what you've done. My sister tells me it's the first time she's ever listened to what I said. I can believe that. Not sure if that's a compliment or not. And yeah, we'll use some of the things and kind of put them into practice in the studio, let everyone have a go, like rather than using a professional camera and having to learn that whole dilemma of things in our studio, but have a bit of fun with that as well. Yeah, if you want residents, but thank you everyone. Enjoy bringing everything back to normal-ish. And hopefully we'll see you all. I forgot you were a fan, Emma. Once we're back up and running, assuming they don't sell out too quickly.
Handles, round bandana.
I forget, you've got all those, yeah.
So we've got a bit of...
A bit of fun with that. It might be that it ends up being on just see everything. Anyway, I really put it on with people that follow on that. So trying already 3 tools. You did be used to, but that one as well. Let's check out the this is them. Genesis, anyone touching?
No,
that's no type.
Yeah.
That's right.